Have you finally come to save your apes?
I came for you.
For me? My God. Look at your eyes. Almost human. How did you know I was here?
I was told you were coming. That more soldiers from the north would be joining you here.
Joining me?
To finish us off. For good.
Who told you that? Okay. Let's go.
Quiet on the set!
Hey, welcome back. This is Michael Faulkner, and it is showtime at the July 11th, 2017 edition of the Weekly Podioplex, brought to you on the Chronic Rift Network. This week's birthdays include Tom Hanks, Fred Savage from The Wonder Years, Michelle Rodriguez from the Fast and the Furious franchise, Sweatin' to the Oldies classic Richard Simmons, Charlie's Angel Cheryl Ladd, Harrison Ford, who you know as Rick Deckard, Han Solo and Indiana Jones, Jane Lynch from Wreck-It Ralph, Lana Parrilla from Once Upon a Time, and Forrest Whitaker from Rogue One. Starting with the box office report, Spider-Man may consider action as his reward, but a box office win ain't bad either. At number 10 is The Beguiled, down 2 from 8th. At number 9 is 47 Meters Down, down 2 from 7th. At 8 is The Big Sick, jumping up 4 from 12th before it enters wide release this week. In 7th is The House, down 1 from 6th. And finishing off this week's bottom 5 is Cars 3, down 1 from 5th. The top 5 this week begin with Transformers: The Last Knight, down 2 from 3rd with $6.4 million toward a new total of $119 million. In 4th place is Wonder Woman, holding steady from last week with $9.8 million added to a total of $368.5 million. That makes Wonder Woman the 10th highest grossing superhero film, since records on such things started back in 1978, coming in behind the first 2 Spider-Man films, the second Guardians of the Galaxy film, Captain America: Civil War, Iron Man 3, the last 2 chapters of the Dark Knight trilogy, and both Avengers films. Worldwide, Wonder Woman is at $745 million. In 3rd place is Baby Driver, down 1 from 2nd, adding $13 million to a total of $57.1 million. In 2nd is last week's winner, Despicable Me 3, adding $33.6 million to a total of $148.8 million. And this week's winner, unsurprisingly, is Spider-Man: Homecoming, pulling in $117 million. That's the 2nd largest opening ever for a Spider-Man movie, barely beating the first one from 2002 and coming in just $40 million behind Spider-Man 3. It's also the largest opening for a single character intro film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, beating Iron Man, the one that started it all. In terms of 2017, Spider-Man's opening is the 3rd largest of the year, coming in between Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and Wonder Woman. Audiences gave it a solid A grade, and critics gave it a 93% approval. I went out this weekend to see it, and I loved it. It was fun, although a little slow in spots, and it was refreshing to get away from yet another revision of the origin story. If you get a chance, go see it. It'll be great. Let's close out the box office report with a look at winning in years gone by. 5 years ago in 2012, Ice Age Continental Drift took number 1 with $46.6 million. 10 years ago in 2007, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix won the weekend with $77.1 million. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix broke Spider-Man 2's record for the highest Wednesday gross of all time. 20 years ago in 1997, Men in Black was the winner for a second week with $30.1 million. 30 years ago in 1987, Revenge of the Nerds 2, Nerds in Paradise took the title with $7.9 million. And 40 years ago, in 1977, The Deep won the box office crown with $4.6 million, reclaiming number one in its fourth weekend of release. The box office premieres for July 14th begin with War. This week's headliner is War for the Planet of the Apes, a drama thriller starring Andy Serkis, Woody Harrelson, and Steve Zahn.
34, 35, 36, 37, 30, 37. I do. What now? What? Oh no! Oh no! No, 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 no. Okay.
After the apes suffer unimaginable losses, Caesar wrestles with his darker instincts and begins his own mythic quest to avenge his kind. War for the Planet of the Apes is rated PG-13. The second title is Wish Upon, a horror thriller starring Joey King, Ryan Phillippe, and Ki Hong Lee.
Ryan, where have you been? Is everything okay?
Can I ask you something? It's gonna sound so stupid and so crazy, but you know that wish box that your dad got you? Have you made any wishes?
What? Why?
So have you wished?
Why do you keep asking me that?
Why don't you answer? Has it played any music yet?
Ryan, who cares?
A blood price. That phrase Gina couldn't quite translate. It says, when the music ends, the blood price is paid.
A teenage girl discovers a box that carries magic powers and a deadly price for using them. Wish Upon is rated PG-13. And the third wide release this week is The Big Sick, a romantic comedy starring Kumail Nanjiani, Zoe Kazan, and Holly Hunter.
Here's a joke.
No, tear it down. Tears about as funny as a fart at a funeral.
No, this is funny. This is a funny one. A giraffe walks into a bar and he says to the bartender, "Highballs on me." You get it, right?
Oh, that was the end of the joke?
Yeah, of course.
That was the whole joke?
That's the joke. That's the beauty of it. Boom.
I thought there was more.
But you get it. He's a giraffe. He's tall. So it would stand to reason his testicles are high.
Yeah.
And a highball is a drink. And you ruined it by saying I wasn't funny first. That's what it was.
A couple learns to deal with their cultural differences as their relationship grows. The Big Sick is rated R. There are also 3 titles on this week's limited slate, and you can find those in the show notes. Next up is a look at the home entertainment slate for the week of July 11th, and I'll kick things off with New Release on DVD and Blu-ray. And the first one there is High Octane. That one is The Fate of the Furious, an action film starring Vin Diesel, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and Charlize Theron. When a mysterious woman seduces Dom into the world of crime and a betrayal of those closest to him, the crew face trials that will test them as never before. The Fate of the Furious is rated PG-13. The second title is The Lost City of Z, a historical adventure film starring Charlie Hunnam, Tom Holland, and Robert Pattinson. Based on David Grann's best-selling book of the same name, The Lost City of Z is the true-life drama which centers on British explorer Colonel Percival Fawcett, who disappeared while searching for a mysterious city in the Amazon in the 1920s. The Lost City of Z is rated PG-13. Number 3 on the list is Smurfs: The Lost Village, an animated family film starring Joe Manganiello, Mandy Patinkin, and Demi Lovato. In this fully animated, all-new take on the Smurfs, a mysterious map sets Smurfette and her friends Brainy, Clumsy, and Hefty on an exciting race through the Forbidden Forest, leading to the discovery of the biggest secret in Smurf history. Smurfs: The Lost Village is rated PG. And the fourth title on this part of the list is Big Miracle, a romantic drama starring Drew Barrymore, John Krasinski, and Kristen Bell. In small town Alaska, a news reporter recruits his ex-girlfriend, a Greenpeace volunteer, on a campaign to save a family of gray whales trapped by rapidly forming ice in the Arctic Circle. Big Miracle is rated PG. Swinging by new releases on digital video, I have one title to share. That one is Going in Style, a crime comedy starring Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, and Alan Arkin. Desperate to pay the bills and come through for their loved ones, three lifelong pals risk it all by embarking on a daring bid to knock off the very bank that absconded with their money. Going in Style is rated PG-13. Moving right along to TV on DVD and Blu-ray, we start things there with The Magicians, Season 2 from 2017, starring Jason Ralph, Stella Maeve, and Olivia Taylor-Dudley. Based on the best-selling novels from Lev Grossman, The Magicians centers on Quentin Coldwater and his 20-something friends as they discover their magical abilities at Brakebills University, a secret grad school specializing in magic. While there, they come to the realization that the fantasies they read about as children are all too real and unwittingly invite a malevolent entity from the other side into their lives. Heading into Season 2, this group of unlikely heroes have been thrust into even more dangerous and unfamiliar territory and must draw upon their novice skills to defeat a threat that could destroy the magical world itself. Driven by power, revenge, and survival, they learn that those who enter the hauntingly beautiful world of Fillory will never be the same as those who leave.
I don't even recognize your face. Mirror on the wall. Tell me all the ways to stay away.
What have I been waiting for? Been wasting all my time. Watching my youth slip away, surely is a crime.
The other TV title this week is Class, Series 1 from 2016, starring Greg Austin, Fadi El Sayed, and Sophie Hawkins. From the universe of Doctor Who, it's a new term at Coal Hill Academy, and students are preparing for their autumn prom. But when the school comes under attack from deadly monsters, 4 alienated students must form an unlikely alliance to defeat them. Charlie, April, Ram, and Tanya, under the watchful eye of physics teacher Miss Quill, are now charged with a great responsibility by the mysterious alien known as the Doctor. Protect Coal Hill and guard against the creatures of a nightmare that want nothing more than to find a way through to Earth and take it for their own. I'll wrap up the home entertainment slate with Blu-rays from the past, and this week I have one title to share. That one is The Fifth Element, a sci-fi action drama from 1997 celebrating 20 years with a brand new 4K HD transfer, starring Bruce Willis, Gary Oldman, and Milla Jovovich. Set in the 23rd century, New York cab driver Corbin Dallas didn't mean to be a hero, but he just picked up the kind of fare that only comes along every 5,000 years. A perfect beauty, a perfect being, a perfect weapon. Now together, they must save the world. The Fifth Element is rated PG. After this brief break for about a shameless podcast cross-promotion, the Weekly Podioplex will continue.
You go through there, it's 1960.
Stephen King's time travel thriller, 11/22/63, is coming to Hulu. and Golden Spiral Media will journey down the rabbit hole with 11/22/63, A Look Back. Join Wayne Henderson and Troy Heinrichs as they journey through the obdurate past. Life turns on a dime, so join us at 11/22/63podcast.com.
And welcome back to the Weekly Podioplex. I'm Denise with your Quick Flicks. First up, Top Gun 2 is getting a 2019 release, and Joseph Kosinski is set to direct. Because even actors have to pay mortgages, Paramount has officially announced a release date for Top Gun 2 and confirmed its director, Joseph Kosinski, staking its claim with a July 12, 2019 release and giving every Navy recruiter everywhere a reason to keep their day job. The announcement, reported on by Deadline, also detailed the story briefly, summarizing the plot as Maverick being a flight instructor for the next generation of pilots. My eyes are rolling so far into the back of my head, I'm pretty sure I can see my brain. Nostalgia is the hope Paramount is banking on, and in 2 years' time, they think it'll help propel the movie towards success. I wouldn't count on it. Look what happened to Independence Day Resurgence and Zoolander 2. Or the Mummy movie. But Val Kilmer is ready to bring Iceman back to the screen, so things can't be all bad, right? You guys have fun. And while Netflix seems to have it in for Sense8 and The Get Down, it seems not all of its original productions are coming under the chopping block. The class of 2018 will welcome you back to Winchester University with a second season of Dear White People. Based on Justin Simian's 2014 film of the same name, Dear White People follows a group of black activists on a majority-white Ivy League campus. Following a blackface party thrown by one of the campus's leading provocateurs, the students face a culture of bias, racial injustice, and political incorrectness, which culminates into a near-fatal run-in with campus security. Produced by Lionsgate's television division, Dear White People is now set to go into production on a 10-episode sophomore season later this year. Yvette Lee Bowser will return as showrunner, and the first season's breakout cast led by Logan Browning will also be back. Another show I need to add to my growing list. And talking of television shows, it's 2017, people. Gillian Anderson should not have to criticize anyone for a lack of diversity. But she is. Because while X-Files is coming back, there are no female writers attached to it. Why? No one knows. For the upcoming season, season 11 if you've been keeping track, X-Files creator Chris Carter assembled a writer's room which includes Glenn Morgan, Darren Morgan, and James Wong, season 9 writer's assistant Gabe Rotter, season 10 writer's assistant Benjamin Van Allen, and Brad Fulmer. None of these names are the female derivative. As Gillian herself pointed out on Twitter, only 2 of the 207 episodes of The X-Files were written or directed by women. 2. One of them was directed by Gillian herself. Seriously, we're better than this. Up next, is Bond getting the universe treatment? Well, they're contemplating it anyway. Producers of the James Bond movies are reportedly giving some very serious thought about getting in on the shared universe craze and exploring some untouched bits of 007's world. Now, this could either be very good or go horribly, horribly wrong. As the world waits on Daniel, will he or won't he return as Bond Craig, rumors have begun circulating that the Broccoli family, the ones who have been producing the Bond films since the start, might want to start experimenting with the character and his world in new and exciting ways. You mean he might stir his martini instead of shaking it? Time will tell, but the shared universe fever is hitting pretty hard and heavy right now. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Moneypenny or even an M movie come out in the near future. And with the rumor of a Bond-themed Telltale game, that future might very well become a reality. After 20 years in development hell, the sci-fi thriller Gemini Man has finally been given a firm release date. Woohoo! While sharing the same name with the 1976 NBC series about a spy making himself invisible with a watch, the one we're talking about was an original project that has been around since the 90s. The basic concept is thus. The world's best assassin is getting old and unreliable, so his bosses decide to eliminate him by creating a younger and stronger clone and task it with exterminating the older model. It's simple and elegant, and and has been languishing on a shelf since its first pitch to Disney back in 1997 by Darren Lemke with the premise of Tony Scott directing. And now it's finally getting a second chance at life with Ang Lee tapped to direct the film. Not only that, but days later it was reported that Will Smith was in talks to star as the titular character. After the mess that was his last movie? Really? Now the film has been given more of a bump, with Deadline reporting that Paramount Pictures has dated the movie for October 4, 2019. It can be argued that the concept of a young self versus old self has been done to death, but I'm willing to give the movie a shot. I mean, why not? It's not like we're going to get another halfway decent Bond film anytime soon. Though we are getting Kingsman number 2. Okay, so if you haven't heard by now, I'm here to tell you Daniel Day Kim and Grace Park have left Hawaii 5-0. Why? Because they're not getting paid as much as their white co-stars. It was reported that they were getting as much as 15% less than their white co-stars, and now Variety reports that the difference is even larger. Whatever the case, the pay discrepancies is ridiculous. They've been with the show since the beginning, they do just as much work as their co-stars, they should be getting paid as much. End of discussion. On the Netflix front, it seems like Umbrella Academy, a comic book series created and developed by Gerard Way of My Chemical Romance, is getting the original series development treatment. The comic series takes place in 1977 during an alternate timeline where John F. Kennedy was never assassinated. It follows a dysfunctional and estranged group of superheroes who reunite after 9 years apart to save the world from a lethal threat. The Gothic Dark Horse property ran for 3 seasons from 2007 to 2013, with a proposed 4th season in development. Jeremy Slater of The Exorcist bent will be involved with the show. In a 2016 interview with Collider, Slater, who also wrote the 2015 Fantastic Four and Olivia Wilde horror film The Lazarus Effect, talked about the importance of capturing the spirit and tone of the series through adaptation. He said, "There's a lot of weird stuff in it, the Umbrella Academy, and it would be very easy to stand down some of those weird edges and make it more familiar to American audiences. I'm fighting very hard to not let that happen. We're shopping around the pilot at the moment. We're trying to find the right home for it and trying to find someone as excited as we are." Netflix has not commented on the reports, but I'm all for the adaptation. I haven't read the comics, but it's a sort of indie comic I like to read. Marvel and DC are great, but they wind up getting confusing and massive. Condensed runs are totally my bag. And speaking of comics, and surprising no one who has been paying any sort of attention, Wonder Woman's box office success is driven by older and female moviegoers. Wow, it's almost as if a movie made by a woman, starring a whole cast of women, and told through the female eye can be successful or something. Who knew? I'm not even going to go into it. The numbers speak for themselves. We need these movies. We needed Wonder Woman. Have needed Wonder Woman for years. And now it's Black Widows, The Wasps, and Captain Marvel's turn. And for God's sake, someone remake the damn Catwoman movie into something watchable. And finally, John Carpenter is teaming up with Sci-Fi for a new anthology TV series. Back in 2015, reports came out that Carpenter was teaming up with his wife and frequent producing partner Sandy King to develop multiple scripted TV series. Things have been quiet since then, but now the news has come out that Carpenter's push into the small screen is finally kicking into high gear. I have a lot of horror fan friends who are going to absolutely love this. The new anthology is called Tales for a Halloween Night. The title is taken from Carpenter's graphic novel anthology of the same name, which features various horror stories from both established and up-and-coming storytellers, as well as Carpenter himself. 2 volumes have so far been released, with a 3rd coming this October. A writer for the show is currently underway. Halloween is going to be so much more fun when the show finally hits the small screen. And that's it for this week's Quick Flicks. I'll see you guys next time on the Weekly Podioplex.
Thank you, Denise. And here we are once again at the end of a new edition of the Weekly Podioplex. If you want to discuss anything you heard on this week's edition, we would love to hear from you. No, seriously, tell us what you like, what you don't like, your ideas for the show. We want to know. You can surf on over to the Chronic Rift homepage at chronicrift.com and leave an audio message right there on the website using your microphone. You can also write an email or send an MP3 to weeklypodioplex@gmail.com. If 140 characters or less is more your thing, you can still tweet us on Twitter. The Chronic Rift is chronic_rift. The Weekly Podioplex is Weekly Podioplex. Denise is Riley James Keith. And I am Womprat99, like the creature Luke with bullseye in his T16 in Beggar's Canyon. You can give the Chronic Rift a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, and you can find the Weekly Podioplex and the Chronic Rift on Facebook. The usual disclaimer applies, of course. If you leave us feedback, you may hear your words on a future edition of the Weekly Podioplex. Take a moment, stop on by, and see what other shows the Chronic Rift Network has to offer. We have Cyborgs, a Bionic podcast, the Batcave podcast, the OSI Files podcast, the G2V podcast, Generations Geek, presenting the transcription feature, The Dan and Travis Show, the Sci-Fi Diner podcast, Doctor Who and Mr. Drew, the Home Game Show version podcast, and so much more. If you have a Roku player, you can treat it like a time machine and find us there on the Chronic Rift's Roku channel, where you can find episodes of the Chronic Rift's adventures in the 1990s when it was a public access television show on the New York City airwaves. Check us out and find the culture in pop culture. If you're interested in more of my adventures, take a quick trip to my blog, Creative Criticality, where I'm watching every episode of Doctor Who for the first time from the very beginning of the franchise and reviewing those stories in the Timestamps Project. Right now, the blog is in the 19th season, the first season with the 5th Doctor, and those reviews can be found at creativecriticality.wordpress.com. You can also find Creative Criticality on Facebook. Denise can also be found on the internet at Accessories Not Included, where she talks about her writing, reviews books, and offers her services as a cover designer. Check her out at accessoriesnotincluded.com. If you decide to pick up any of this week's new releases, why not do it through our Amazon store? You get the newest entertainment at Amazon's low prices and high-quality service, and each purchase you make to that store supports the Chronic Rift Network. Your support keeps us on the air, and we appreciate your consideration. Look for the links to our best bets and the network store in our show notes, or click the Amazon box on the website. The Weekly Podioplex is a Lucky Shot production and is produced by John S. Drew. On behalf of Denise and John, this is Michael Faulkner. Thanks for listening. Until next time, there are adventures in drama, comedy, and action, worlds to explore in the depths of film. Get some popcorn, find your favorite seat, and I'll see you at the theater.
That's a wrap.